Over my 2 weeks traveling Palestine, I was witness to the true impact of the devastating refugee crisis. Countless who fled violence and persecution are banned from ever returning. Today, nearly 70% of all Palestinians are refugees. There was a shockwave of 2 mass expulsions by Israeli forces. The nearly 800,000 in the Nakba in 1948, when over 500 villages were ethnically cleansed, then another 300,000 in the 1967 war. But that number only continued to grow. Today, there are more than 7 million displaced Palestinians worldwide. Most fled to neighboring Arab countries as refugees. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, known as UNRWA, tracks the dire refugee situation where there are the highest concentrations. Thousands more are unregistered. In Lebanon, UNRWA has registered 425,000 Palestinian refugees. Syria houses over 425,000 as well. Jordan, which shares its greatest border, is home to 1.9 million Palestinian refugees. But with those shockingly large refugee populations, an even larger number of Palestinians are internally displaced. More than 2.2 million Palestinians are refugees in their own country, blocked, in violation of international law, from returning to the land they live just miles away from, packed into camps. These camps experience the highest rates of poverty and unemployment. In 1950, the UN temporarily leased land to create the first tent cities for Palestinian refugees who were internally displaced. Eventually, the UN replaced their tents with concrete boxes. They were tiny structures with tin roofs, where people were packed, sweltering in the blazing heat. Today, within the state of Israel, over 300,000 remain as displaced Palestinians. In the West Bank, nearly 800,000 people are UN-registered refugees. But even greater, an unconscionable 1.1 million refugees are packed into the tiny, caged Gaza Strip, completely blocked by Israel from leaving. According to the United Nations Resolution 194, issued after the Nakba in 1948, the Israeli government must allow the refugees to return to their homes, with compensation for their suffering. But Israel, to this day, remains in violation of this UN resolution, denying their right to return. Today, Balata is the biggest and most densely populated refugee camp in the West Bank. Most of the people here were expelled from Haifa, Jaffa, and Jenin, all ethnically cleansed by the Israeli army. Balata has served as a hotbed of resistance to the occupation, and Israeli forces attacked the entire camp often as collective punishment. I was shown around by British-born Palestinian Nancy Mansour. In 1935, her great-grandfather was shot in the head by Jewish settlers when they seized his home. She took me through the dense maze of warehoused refugees.
So these are basically streets, right? Yeah. So when they came here in 1951, they came and they got tents, and they rented this land, or the UN rented this land for them from the people that live in the city of Nablus. And so a couple of years later, the UN come and give them 2 stone houses per family. So for example, in Bethlehem, in Dahisha refugee camp, there's a family that had 2 stone rooms up until 2 years ago. We went to visit them, and they had 7 kids and themselves. So you're thinking about a bathroom, a kitchen. And they built a bathroom because usually they had public bathrooms out here. So it was like 2 rooms, usually your kitchen and your front room, and then a bedroom for everybody. So you can only imagine, we complain about the spaces we have in New York, but this is a little crazier. And so as you can see, it just gets more and more dense and overpopulated. And I think actually the exact number is 28,000 refugees. So this is the biggest refugee camp, and it's literally 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. وبقول لك كيف كانوا بيكتبوا على الحيطان عشان يعرفوا وين. So in a space like this, you could imagine the Israelis are already scared. So they get, they get really scared of coming in here unless they're coming like 300-400 deep, you know what I mean? When they did come in, they didn't come through these alleyways at first. They used to just blow a hole through the wall and just come through. Like if they wanted a house that was like next to this one, they would just blow a hole through the wall with a tank and then come in, like just storm it. But that's family. And what they started doing is when they would come in civilian clothing, and they would try and label the streets so that they can get an idea of the way the alleyways work. Because I would get lost in here. I mean, let's walk down and then we can show you. Yeah. This is a UN house here. You see this white and red.
Oh, okay.
So this is an original house. So after the tents, they got houses like this. It was literally this. You see this white block here, and that white block without the top part. And it was just like that. And that was their kitchen, their living room, their bedroom. So this was the kitchen, she said, and then that was the room that they lived in, all 10 of them.
Wow.
A bunch of foreigners living in your house in Haifa. He's from a village next to Haifa that they cleared out, and it's just crazy to think they had to live in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In this little, it looks like a prison. I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean? Who the fuck? Like, imagine like with 10 kids. I mean, 8 kids. It was 8 kids and their parents, but that's nuts.
الناس يخلي حدا منكم ومعنا واحد منكم وشفتوه في عينيكم اخذناه معنا لفوق وبدنا نقتلوا نذبحوا قدامكم اذا بدكم تروحوا احجار وبدكوش تروحوا على بيوتكم بنضرب عليكم غاز لحتى تموتوا على اهليكم على اخواتكم على اولادكم على كل شيء. اسمعوا مني نصيحه انا عم بقول.
Today, the camp houses over 5,500 refugees, mostly from Jerusalem and Hebron, who are packed into an area less than 0.04 square miles. A huge key of return proudly defines the main entrance to the camp. Resident of the camp and activist Muntar Amira showed me around to understand what life is like as a refugee living under occupation.
We are touched by the occupation on a daily basis. It is not easy to live under occupation. You will be targeted, your family will be targeted, the children will be targeted. Everything here, even our trees are targeted. If you will see here, like when they arrested a little child, I was just trying to tell them he was 6 years old, telling them he was afraid. You can see it in his face. So very high rank officer came and he asked me, where is your house? And he pointed to my house. This is your house. We can see it from there. He asked me how many children you have. I told him that I have 5 children. So he told me, this will be the last time we will speak with you. The second time we will act. For me, maybe for the first day, the second day, the third day, I spent like 1 week just thinking, yes, I am going through this struggle. But what about my children, my wife? Because they targeted my house before and my roof was burned off. But if they will target my children, what can I do for them? Mm-hmm. So trying to threat the children, their parents, the message was clear. Or to live here as a slave and to shut your mouth and not to speak about anything, the shortage of water, killing people, confiscating your land, demolishing your houses, or to leave this area. That's it. I think that they want to kill any kind of hope, any kind of life here, killing Abdurrahman. Before 9-10 months, Abdurrahman was playing here like any other kids. he was playing here. Abdurrahman was dressing his uniform, his school uniform. He was carrying his bag and he was playing here, just right here. He got a bullet from the other side of the camp, from that military basement. The bullet came just into his heart and he was killed. I think it was a message for us. They can kill anyone close to the area, but they pick Abdurrahman. He was 13 years old. He was very, very small. And they just killed him to send a message: you don't have even the right to dream, or the right to play, the right to move, any human rights that you can imagine. So we will continue our life, we will continue our struggle. If not because of our rights, because of Abdurrahman. Let's go.
This is an illegal occupation under international law, and these refugees have the absolute right to return. But Israel's hyper-militarized subjugation of refugees that have next to nothing except the stones they sometimes throw reveals something very telling. That Israel is absolutely terrified of their plight being heard by the world. Here in this biblical land, a real story of David and Goliath can be found, where the Palestinian people, however outmatched by might, can defeat this giant.